Hi, I'm my JavaScript friends. This is the Virtuoid, aka Mike Smith, and this is video number 2 of our standard card class series where we create a standard playing card based upon our base card class that we created in another set of videos. If you like this video, please click on the like button below, make sure you subscribe to this channel for further updates, and please leave a comment and tell me what you think. I'd love to hear from you. Okay, so I have a completely blank repository here. I have done an npm init to create the package.json file. So let's go ahead and start installing everything we're going to need for our test-driven development. Alrighty, as you know, first of all, that our video number 1, which we've already covered, we just kind of gave an introduction to our standard card class and that we're going to be extending it from our card. This is video number 2, in which we're going to do our test-driven development on our class. So that's our first thing we're going to create is our test, because again, test-driven development basically means you can create all your tests first to test the behavior of your class and then develop or design based upon that particular set of tests. So you build your test, everything's going to fail, of course, because nothing's been written. Then you're going to build the test to get everything to be green, to be good, all the tests pass, and then you're doing kind of refactoring to clean up the code. So let's go ahead and install what we're going to need for the testing. First thing we're going to need is our testing suite, and I prefer to use Cypress because it's an end-to-end tester, and eventually I'm going to be using be testing a lot of browser type games, and so I'm getting used to using it right now. So I'll see you once it finishes installing. Okay, now it is finished installing. The second thing we're going to install is a preprocessor for Cypress, and this is necessary if we're going to be importing some files from an npm repository or from an npm library to be able to use within our testing. Of course, we're going to be doing that because we're going to be bringing in our card class. So we're going to install this, and I'll see you once this finishes up. Okay, that's all finished up, and finally the last thing we want to do is we want to install our cards class. And again, we're basing this standard card off of our cards repository or our cards library that we developed within another video. And of course, this library is free to you. You can consume it any which way you want to. I'll see you on the other side once it finishes up. Oh, actually, it finished up. So we're already here on the other side. So now we've got all of our packages installed and ready to go. So the next thing we're going to do is we're going to want to be able to instantiate Cypress for the first time it's going to run so that it can create all of the supporting files for us into our project automatically. And that's with the node modules bin cypress.open. Once that finishes up, a little window will appear saying it's all finished and done. So we'll see you when that's all finished and done. And it's all finished and done. So we don't need to worry about this window at this point in time because we're not doing browser-based end-to-end testing. So we'll just close that out, and now we can go straight back into our repository. It's added a bunch of different files there. The important thing that I want to show you here is the Cypress, what it's installed here. So it's installed quite a number of directories. A fixtures directory, this is where we're going to install if we have any kind of mock data or anything we're going to be using for our test. And in our particular case, we're not going to worry about that. The plugins is any type of plugins we're going to be using, and we are going to be using the the Webpack plugin. So one of the things I want to do here is go into the index file, and let's throw that code inside there. So I've got the code, and this code will allow us to be able to use the Webpack preprocessor that we just got finished installing earlier. And then support is, honestly, I have absolutely no clue what support is. Now, the last thing we want to do here is the integrations folder gives you a bunch of different examples of how to write your specifications for your test. I'm not going to worry about any of these, so we're just going to delete all of these. But these are good to kind of take a look at once you've installed Cypress, and it kind of tells you how to be able to test for certain scenarios. And in our case, we're not going to have to worry about any of those kind of scenarios. Okay, so now let's create our tests themselves. So what exactly are we going to be creating? Well, these tests are going to test the behaviors of the standard deck. So what are the behaviors of the standard deck? Well, the standard deck itself really doesn't change anything from the base card deck itself. The base card deck gave us a suit, a rank, and a value, and that gave us the ability to have any type of suit, any type of rank, and any type of value. Now, a standard card itself is exactly the same thing. I mean, there's really nothing additional to a standard card. It has a suit, it has a rank, and it has a value. So we're not going to be really adding any kind of properties to it. The methods that are within the base class have, like, is this a particular suit? Is this a particular rank? Is this a particular value? We don't really have any kind of extra methods other than those to be able to work with in our standard card. So what makes a standard card a standard card? Well, a standard card basically has a subset of particular suits and a subset of particular ranks. For instance, a card will have hearts, clubs, diamonds, and spades. And suits, and as ranks, it'll have ace, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, jack, queen, and king. So what we really want to do here is we want to be able to allow them to do anything they want to with the card itself, but limit them to only certain suits and limit them to only certain ranks. So I envision basically 3 different classes to be created, and I like to create tests. I like to be able to create directories for each one of the different classes. So we got the suits class, we got the ranks class, and we've got the standard card class. Now, standard card class is very easy to understand. It's just going to be the standard card itself, but the ranks and suits are actually going to be enumerated classes. And I'm going to show you one thing you can do. Now, JavaScript does not support enumerated classes, but I'm going to show you one of the things you can do to kind of simulate an enumerated class, and that's what we're going to be using for our ranks and our suits when we get to that. So the standard card is basically going to basically say, within the constructor, the standard card is just going to say basically, hey, did you get a legal suit or did you get a legal rank? And if so, let's just create it the way it is. There's nothing else to add. So it's going to be very easy to create everything for the standard card itself. So let's go ahead, and we really need to get the enumerated stuff done first in order to be able to create the constructor for the standard card. So let's just start one at a time here. Let's start with the enumerated system for the ranks. So let's start for the ranks. Now, with the ranks itself, I just want to be able to have an enumerated system. So I'm going to use static properties on the ranks, and the individual pieces of the ranks, to be able to statically access each of these ranks. I also don't want them to be able to completely create a new ranks class. I want to be able to make it just a pure static class, because there's no need to create extra instances of a ranks class. So we're going to end up with 2 different specifications here. We're going to first of all end up with a constructor specification. And this constructor specification here will allow us to basically say, I should be able to throw an error if I'm trying to construct. So that's the idea here. If I was to create a new ranks instance, I want it to be able to throw an error. So basically what I've done here is I'm trying to create a ranks, and if it happens to get to line 7 here, I know it's in error because it shouldn't get to line 7. It should throw an error. So therefore, that's why you say expect true to be false. That error should just be a plain old everyday error. I don't know what kind of error it needs to be there if we're trying to create an instance that isn't there. So that basically is really all we need to worry about on the ranks, because I just want to be able to I want to be able to make sure that nobody can create an instance on it. And the other thing we're going to take a look at is the enumerations. And if we take a look at the enumerations, there's a lot of different tests here that we're going to be covering, and I'm just going to collapse all of these real quick so it'll be a little easier to see what we're actually testing for on the ranks themselves. So imagining here, first of all, the couple of things we're going to want to be able to do here is we want to make sure that we have an ace enumeration. We want to make sure we have a 2 enumeration, a 3, a 4, a 5, a 6, a 7, a 8, a 9, a 10, a jack, a queen, and a king enumerations. And basically, those are going to be my my basic property enumerations. Those are going to be static properties onto the class itself. So, for instance, let's take a look at the ace here. As you can tell here, I'm accessing the ace as if it's a static property. So I know I'm going to be defining a static property on my rank. So I want to make sure it equals ranks.ace. Also notice here, I'm going to give this, it's actually going to be an object instead of just a simple string. And within this object, I'm going to have a name and abbreviation. Now, why am I doing this? Well, later on down the line, there's a possibility I could be adding something more to the standard card class. What that is, I don't know, but it could be something later on down the line. And if there is, all I have to do on testing the for fixing the test is just to add another property onto the, or add another property onto this object, and that's it. So all of these tests basically says, hey, get the name and the abbreviation from ranks.ace or ranks.whatever, test to make sure the name is correct, and test to make sure the abbreviation. So for each one of these, I've got, as you can tell here, here's 2, so the name is 2 and the abbreviation is 2. Let's go to queen. The ranks queen is going to either return the name of queen or it's going to return an abbreviation of Q. And that will give me the ace through kings. Now, if you think about this, what are some of the other things I want to be able to do? Well, I want to be able to have applications be able to access this entire list. So what if they wanted to say, is a particular card included within this particular list? And so I've also got a list enumeration in which it should be an array that returns that hold every single legal enumeration within this enumerated property. So let's just give this list here, this list that I'm calling, here it is right there, I'm sorry, I get the wrong one, but this list is going to basically tell me that, hey, these are all the legal properties that are contained within this enumerated system. Real simple, real quick. And as I was working on this, I also realized that one of the other things might be nice to have is a static method, basically saying, is that enumerated rank actually there? So it kind of goes along with the list itself. So I'm going to be creating a static method called isRank, in which you pass a rank to, or you pass an enumeration to the ranks and find out whether that is a legal enumeration or not. So just kind of a little extra cushion there, for instance, that if you want to be able to do any kind of testing, if somebody's trying to do something funky with your stuff there. So I've got tests here to find out if it can be found, and a test if it can not be found. So that should conclude all the testing we're going to do for the ranking. So I got the constructor to make sure that I cannot construct a new instance, and I'm testing to make sure all the enumerations from ace to king, a list, and a enumeration method called isRank is all tested for within the ranks, within the ranks enumerated class. Now let's take a look at the suits enumerated class. Now the suits enumerated class is going to basically say, you know, what suits are legal within a standard card. And there's 4 suits that are available within a standard card. That is the clubs, the diamonds, the hearts, and the spades. So we're going to set up our enumerated list to be able to have static properties for each one of those. I'm also going to set up a list static property that gives me a list of all the valid ones, plus an isSuit static method that allows me to test whether a passed value is a correct enumerated value or enumerated suit or not. So just like with the rank, we're going to first of all check to make sure our constructor is set up correctly. So let's copy over that, and again, this works exactly the same way as the ranks did. I'm going to try to create a new suit. If it succeeds in creating a new suit, that's an error, so I'm going to force an assertion error here by saying expect true to be false. If it does get an error, I want to make sure that the error name just is plain old error. So nothing, and then that's really all I need to test for. With the constructor, I just want to make sure that nobody can construct a new suits instance. So let's take a look now at the enumerated parts of the suits. And I'll collapse these just like I did with the ranks to kind of show you. But this works exactly like the ranks themselves, in which I'm going to have a enumerated value called club, one called heart, one called diamond, and one called spade. And in each one of these is going to have a name and abbreviation. So what I want to test for is that I indeed have a suits.club, a suits.diamond, a suits.heart, and a suits.spade. I'll get spade out here too. Well, let's get all 4 of them. We'll get on the screen there. So there's club, diamond, heart, and spade. And again, I'm doing name and abbreviation, just like I did with rank here. And this will allow me to be able to add a little bit later on any kind of data that I want to add to a standard or to a suit enumerated list. I don't imagine what I could add, but hey, there it is. So I'm testing to make sure that each one has a name and each one has an abbreviation. And that's it there. And just like with rank, I've got a list of all of the, a list of all of the legal enumerated values within this enumeration. And then finally, I'm going to test to make sure that I have an isSuit static method that will test to make sure that it returns true if I am passing a real live suit, or returns bad if I am not passing a real live suit. So that's pretty much all there really is to the suits enumerated list. So the suits enumerated list now, with the ranks enumerated list, now gives me the ability to be able to create a standard card that will limit a creation of a card to only a certain set of suits and only a certain set of ranks. Okay, now that we've got the ranks enumerated class and the suits enumerated class done, let's get to the standard card itself. Now, again, there's really nothing I want to add to the base card. It has all the methods I need, it has all the properties I need, but what I really want to be able to do is to limit the creation of the standard card to only the certain ranks that are inside the rank enumerated value list and the suits enumerated value list. So the whole purpose of standard card is once it extends the base card, there's no methods or properties to add. I just got to have a constructor in there to be able to limit the construction of those cards. So let's throw that constructor on there and see what we've got. Very, very simple. First of all, I should be able to construct a card given a suit and a rank. And so I'm giving it a suit and a rank based upon, again, the enumerated list for the enumerated static value for heart and ace. And I'm testing to make sure that the suit and rank is equal to heart and ace. I should be able to throw an error if the suit is invalid, and I should be able to throw an error if the suit is missing. So basically now with base card, this is one change from base card. In base card, you could have a suit and a rank and value, but they were all optional. You could have just created a blank card with absolutely nothing in it. But now I'm basically sitting here and saying, okay, you've got to have a base card, and you've got to have a base suit, and you've got to, you've got to have a suit, and you've got to have a rank, and it's got to be within this enumerated value. So I am testing first of all to see if the suit is invalid by passing it something that is not within the standard card suits enumerated list. And then I'm also trying to test to make sure that it is actually there by not even passing it at all. And I'm doing the same thing with rank here. With rank, I'm passing a bad rank, making sure it's not within the standard card ranks enumerated list. And I'm trying to also throw an error if the ranks is missing. So that's pretty much all there really is to it. Now, except for one thing I want you to take a look at here. Look at this very top import statement at the very beginning. Normally with one of my classes, I like to try to export one class per module, just to make it nice and simple. However, in this particular case, we need to also be able to have access to the ranks enumerated list and the suits enumerated list, because if we have an application out there that's going to be working with the standard card, it's got to know what are our legal ranks and what are our legal suits. So when this library is created and when this library is available to you, which actually already is, you can go to @virtualvoid/standard-card to be able to import that into your NPM project. You will notice that it will have 3 classes available with it. The standard card class, which is what we're working on right now, plus it will have the suits enumerated rank class and this ranks enumerated class. And that will basically tie those 3 together and tell applications they belong as a unit. So if you're going to create a standard card and you're going to have suits and ranks, you're going to need to test to make sure that you are within the legal suits and the legal ranks. That's real simple there. So everything kind of works together there. So I am going to be creating a class in which I'm going to be exporting all 3 of these at the same time. So you want to see if it actually works now? Let's run our test and see what happens. What do you think is actually going to happen when we run our test? Tell if I typed correctly. Well, it should completely bomb because we haven't created our standard card suit or our standard card's rank yet. So let's see what actually happens, and I will see you on the other side. Okay, we're back and we've got 5 errors. Now, why do we have 5 errors? Because it said, this occurred while Cypress was compiling and bundling your code. This is usually caused by a missing Fowler dependency. Well, no, duh. We haven't created standard card suits, or standard card ranks, so every one of these error messages here say the exact same thing. Hey, you're missing something. Well, of course we're missing something. What do you expect would have happened, you know? So that's our 5 errors. That's our test-driven development. Now the next step here will be to create a new class that will make all of these tests pass. If you like this video, please click on the like button below. Also subscribe to this channel for more updates, and please leave a comment. I would love to hear from you. So this is the Virtuoid, aka Mike Smith. Thank you for watching. We'll catch you later.